What? What's that? The Xbox One's already finished?
And the Xbox 2 is coming around the corner?
Well, that sounds like a hot take!
E3 is awash with rumors right now that we're going to be seeing the next Xbox pretty soon next year at E3. Because right now the rumor is that Xbox 2 is coming out in 2020. So this is kind of a big deal because honestly, we have just saw the Xbox One X get a release recently and we didn't really think we were going to be seeing newer hardware really come out that soon. But realistically, it kind of seems like this is the time, right?
We knew that we were in the last third or the last quarter of this console lifespan. And yeah, it seems like we had just heard the announcement of the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. So hearing a new iteration of, it's not even an iteration, the next series of consoles, it seems like it's coming pretty quickly, but yeah. I don't know. It's been almost 5 or 6 years now. So
it really is a little bit weird. But basically, what we've been hearing is that there's a lot of talk on the E3 floor right now from multiple different sources, including people straight from Microsoft that are saying that they want to show off the new hardware. Now, when we were watching the Xbox conference, they did mention that there was going to be a brand new Xbox hardware kind of revision or change, and they did kind of show like a shadow of it. It wasn't the full thing.
Yeah, they said it in passing, and then they also mentioned about bringing the Xbox experience to other devices as well. That's pretty well all that we heard at the conference.
Yeah. So the rumor right now is that it's called the Xbox Scarlet. Now that's the name that they're going with that we've heard. We don't know if that's actually official or anything.
It's going to be red.
Yeah. I would be fine with that, honestly. But like, this is a weird thing to take into consideration. Remember, we just got the Xbox One X, right? I believe that if we're actually going to be seeing a successor system this soon to the Xbox platform of the Xbox One, I think it's going to play all the original Xbox One games, all the previous games as they've established, and I think you're just going to see stronger 4K graphics and maybe some kind of competition up against PlayStation when it comes to their next system, the PlayStation 5. But yeah, it's a really strange thing to hear about that now.
What you're saying about backwards compatibility seems so strange to be discussing right now because like when they were coming out of the gate at the very beginning of this console life, Xbox was completely like they were pretty well taking every measure they could to kind of cut off that compatibility, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like as the console has continued its life cycle now, the Xbox One, yeah, they've dived into that and tried to get some of those older games back on that console.
And what I'm hearing right now is that games that you may have been seeing that were going to be released on the Xbox One are actually probably getting released somewhere else. So we saw Halo Infinite, and they just showed just a little bit of it. Not really a lot of gameplay or anything. We just saw kind of like a trailer. We didn't actually hear that that was coming out for Xbox One, right? They didn't actually say that. So now people are assuming, well, wait, is this a game being released for this generation or next? Or is the next generation pretty much just going to play Xbox One games, but like the Xbox One X, just plays them a little bit better? This is a really strange time to see all this stuff happening, but I think there's a couple of ideas that we can go ahead and talk about because we really need to start to understand what this next console cycle means. So if Microsoft is true with this and they actually do release a new Xbox 2, we're at least looking at 2020 as a release date. That seems to be the idea.
And like I have a question. Like, are we sure 100% that this is the next console? Like, are we doing the traditional lifespan or the traditional type of console?
But that's the problem. We don't know.
Right. Or is this going to be another sort of X iteration? Or are we going to be seeing just a lifespan of maybe 2 years or so between slightly higher powered hardware and then there will just be a continuous sort of backwards compatibility from like one sort of branching point?
Yeah. And you know, this is kind of funny because this would actually make sense to why they called it the Xbox One X initially. Because if they had an idea for a sequel system, they wouldn't want to call it 1.5 or anything like that. Calling it the Xbox One X means there's going to be a definitive title change to Xbox 2 or whatever it is that they want to call the next system. Obviously, they didn't stick around with Scorpio when they were originally calling it the Xbox One X as a Scorpio system. So now that we have this, Scarlet, I mean, the name itself doesn't really have a lot to go off of, but honestly, what I think we're going to see here is going to be a successor system much in the same way that the Xbox One to the One X was. It's going to be a system that likely plays all the back catalog of games just a little bit better. You're likely going to be seeing games on this one that only work on that platform, though. I don't believe you're going to be seeing a lot of Xbox 2 games that will work on Xbox One. What they did with the Xbox One X was a smart move to show kind of an increase in resolution and graphics and fidelity, performance-wise and all that stuff. But I don't know if it's necessarily working right now for them. I mean, people are definitely buying it, but we definitely know it's not selling as fast as the Switch and the PlayStation 4.
We know that Xbox has kind of struggled a little bit in this console generation.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Xbox One X did revitalize the brand a little bit. So maybe this is part of their plan. Maybe every couple of years they will release another console. Then there will be another like pop of revitalization where people can jump on board and play some games maybe they missed before.
Now, there's one thing I want to talk to you specifically about this, because I think this is actually going to be something that is more or less a little bit of a history trip for a couple of you folks out there. Now, once upon a time, there was a company called Sega. And when Sega had finished making the Sega Genesis, they created the 32X and the Sega CD. And it got really complex and it got really big. And it was really difficult to understand what was on the platform. Then they made the Sega Saturn, which by all accounts was a neat system. It did a lot of cool things, had wonderful 2D graphics. But at the time, 3D was really the performance thing. That's what everybody was going for. And PlayStation knocked it out of the park and just obliterated the competition at that year. And now, what happened at that point was that when they went to go make the Dreamcast, they made it too fast, and the audience didn't take on, and there wasn't enough growth, and the whole thing fell apart, and we saw a fall from Sega, from console manufacturing.
Well, I was just going to say there are some similarities in timing, especially, but where things differ and where I think Microsoft's approach, they hope this differs, is that there's just this stream of content that's always going to be there day one, right? Where the Dreamcast didn't have that connection to the older systems.
Yes.
This will have this through line of like a catalog that you can bring
and that's
over.
Exactly what the Saturn missed. When the Saturn came out, it could have easily been playing Sega CD games and maybe had the cartridge slot in the back to play Genesis and 32X games.
Yeah,
but they didn't do anything like that.
Technically, yes, it could have been a thing, sure. Yeah.
But what I'm seeing here is that we're basically looking at a very dangerous time with a really crazy idea of creating a new system. But what if the system isn't just a home console? What if the Xbox 2 or the Scarlet, whatever they're calling it, is actually a portable Xbox system to take on the Switch? See, we're thinking about this in the old ways where you release a new integration of the system or a new upgrade to the system, and it's basically just a whole repeat of what the previous generation was. But what if what they want to do here is take all that really good hardware that they have in the Xbox One, miniaturize it, and turn it into a portable system, specifically with the task of taking on the Switch.
Yeah, that's it would be a very clever move on their part, because they, like I said, they have that back catalog. They have all these games, so you could immediately have some classic Xbox games and Xbox 360, Xbox One games in the palm of your hands.
And I think basically when you go to look at the numbers, you see Xbox One selling in North America and in Europe, and you don't see it selling well in Japan. Very, like as a great example of this, a couple of months ago, at 1 month, they sold 7 Xbox Ones in Japan in total. This isn't like an exaggeration. Literally 7. 7 people went out and bought an Xbox One, and probably one of them bought one and then returned it. You know what I mean? Like that's not a great number. But if you make a portable system in Japan, that's where portable system and portable gaming's like that really matters. And I really think that if they're capable of making a portable console that can attract that market, they can reverse the bad publicity.
Yeah, the bad stigma around that console, because they've always kind of struggled in that in that gaming sort of ecosystem, let's say, because Xbox has always been kind of this beefy gentleman of a game console. Going all the way back to, I know, right?
I know, it's true. It's true. It's a massive system.
Going all the way back to the first Xbox, the system itself was huge. You had the Duke controller. Eventually, they wound up streamlining it, and they got a smaller controller. The 360 was a little bit smaller, but we never saw that sort of attachment that the other platforms have had in Japan.
It's true. You know, there's a little bit of a nature for the Japanese audience to like more of their own games that are designed specifically for them. And where the Xbox console initially had a lot of games, the entire platform really to this point, has had a lot of games that are more aimed at North Americans and Europeans, and it doesn't really have the same attachment. I believe that if they were to do this properly, it could have a really big impact. But would it actually surpass what we've seen with the Switch? See, I don't think it's going to. I think you're going to see people that in Japan that are going to be interested in the system no matter what, but it's just not going to be the same level of love that that Nintendo or Sony has in Japan, because they're home consoles. They're straight from that area.
Whatever they come out with, and if it gets any sort of grab in Japan, it's like they're starting fresh.
Yeah.
Because right now they basically don't exist over there.
That pretty much is how it is. Now, folks, there's a bunch of reasons why it might not work in Japan if they even go the portable route, but honestly, everything's up in the air. We don't know what the Xbox 2 is going to be. We don't know what the Scarlett actually is, and as far as I'm concerned, it's all just really heavy rumor and say
rumors,
so.
but it's fun to discuss things and to kind of imagine what the next successful steps could be for a console manufacturer.
As a platform, we might see Xbox expand itself onto other systems, because remember, Sega really doesn't exist anymore as a console manufacturer now, but what they do exist as is a producer of games. And I think Microsoft went out and got a whole bunch of Microsoft studio companies. Like, they just went and started buying companies recently, I think specifically to make their next system launch with such a huge impact on the market.
Yeah, it's possible.
And there's something that they might be building. Maybe this is what it was. Maybe this E3 was them showing that they're going to make something really big that's just going to expand next year. But who knows? What do you guys think? Do you think there's going to be an Xbox 2? Do you think Microsoft even has a chance? And if you are an Xbox gamer, are you upset right now that the console you just bought is essentially going to be made obsolete very, very soon?
That's possible.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments below.